बोलते हवे पुलक शरीरा, हरि हरि बोलते नयन बवे नीरा. Everybody, गौरांग बोलते हवे हरि हरि बोलते नयन बवे गौरांग बोलते हवे पुलक शरीरा, हरि हरि बोलते नयन बवे नीरा. गौरांग बोलते हवे हरि हर कवे ताई चांदे करुणा होई वे, संसार वसन मोरा कवे तुच्छ हवे. आर कवे निताय चांदे करुणा होई वे, विषया चाड़िया कवे शुद्ध हवे माना, कवे हवाए रवो श्री वृंदावना. विषया कवे हवाए रवो श्री वृंदावन. विषया चारिया कवे शुद्ध हवे माना, कवे हवाए रवो श्री वृंदावना. कवे हमारे रवो रूप रघुनाथ पदे होय व्याकुति, कवे हम बुझबो से युगल किरीट. रूप रघुनाथ पदे होय व्याकुति, कवे हम बुझबो से रूप रघुनाथ पदे रघु मोर आशा, प्रार्थना करो ये सदा नरोत्तम दासा. गौरांग बोलते हवे पुलक शरीरा, हरि हरि बोलते नयन बवे नीरा. गौरांग बोलते हवे पुलक शरीरा, Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Ashtottara Shatashi Srimati Divine Grace Abhay Charana Ravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki नामाचार्य हरिदास ठाकुर की प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंडगिरी गोवर्धन की ब्रजभूमि वृंदावन धाम की मथुरा धाम की द्वारकापुरी धाम की पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की श्री मायापुर नवद्वीप धाम की गंगा मैया मनमयी की भक्ति देवी तुलसी देवी की समावेत भक्त वृंद की ऑल ग्लोरीज टू assemble devotees all glories to assemble devotees all glories to assemble devotees all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Welcome all of you for this offline lecture. Probably is the second lecture. And they will do.
हरे कृष्णा। आज का क्लास इंग्लिश में होगा। जिन भक्तों को हिंदी का ट्रांसलेशन चाहिए, इस ग्रेस जगदीश्वर प्रभु उस तरफ बैठे हैं पीछे राइट साइड वो कॉर्नर पे, तो सब लोग उधर बैठ सकते हैं రోజు के पास। ఈ రోజు క్లాస్ మనకి ఇంగ్లీష్ లో ఉంటుంది। ఎవరికైతే భక్తులకు తెలుగు ట్రాన్స్లేషన్ కావాలో ఇటువైపు ఎడం వైపు సీతాకాంత్ ప్రభు అక్కడ కూర్చో ఉన్నారు। తెలుగు ట్రాన్స్లేషన్ కావాల్సిన వాళ్ళు అక్కడ కూర్చోవచ్చు। థ్యాంక్ యూ। హరే కృష్ణ।
Hare Krishna. Actually, I was planning to discuss from Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. One at the home of Kurma Brahmana in Kurma Gram, which is close to, as you all know, Srikakulam. And in the same village, one more pastime happened of Vasudev leper. So we'll try to discuss at least one or both of them. Let us see how time goes. This is in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, how he traveled to South India and how he propagated Krishna consciousness. All of you please repeat after me. चौदह कहते सब लोग भले हरि हरि प्रेमावेश मध्य नृत्य करे गौर हरि. Chaudikkite means in all four directions, Savaloka, all the people of Alalnath, Bale Hari Hari, they all chanted Lord Hari's names. And in the midst of all of them, Prema Veshe Madhye Nritya Kare Gaur Hari. Lord Chaitanya danced as you see here. So the first place Lord Chaitanya went in South India Yatra is Alalnath, when he left Jagannath Puri. And the Alalnath Vasis were all great lovers of Godhead. So seeing Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very attractively singing and dancing, they all surrounded him from all four directions. They said, Kanchana Sadrisha Deha Aruna Vasana Pulakashru Kampasveda Tahate Bhushana. See, Kanchana Sadrisha means like golden complexion. His body color was golden complexion. Aruna Vasana, he was wearing a saffron color clothes on his body. Pulakashtra Kampasveda means his body was manifesting all the Ashtasatvika Vikar, like tears in his eyes, hair standing on end, body trembling. All of these are ecstatic symptoms of one who is experiencing pure devotion to Krishna. So they saw that manifestation. देखिया लोके रमने हैल चमत्कार यत लोक ऐसे के नहीं आयगर. So when the people of Alalnath saw this beauty of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, or with all the devotional symptoms manifesting in his body, some chamatkar happened, which means some wonderful thing happened. What was it? Yataloka, I say, those people who arrived there to see this beauty of his singing and dancing, Keha nahi jayegar, none of them wanted to go back home, he's saying. They decided to stay there with Mahaprabhu for all time. Something similar Bhaktivinoda Thakur sings. He says, Karasugita nartane sabasaki gane tushiche yugaladane. Ami gare na jayivo vane pravechivo ole lara seratare. Ami yamuna puline adamba kanane keheri no sakya. Amar shama vamsi dari mani vancha puri lila koile rasarai. So he sings like this, Bhaktivinoda Thakur. The meaning of the song is, when Krishna in the forest of Vrindavan is playing on his flute, attracting even the deers and cows and calves and peacocks and parrots and gopas and gopis. After seeing that sight, he says, Ami Garena Jayibo, he's saying, I don't want to go home. Vane Praveshibo, he'll enter the forest of Raja. O Lila Rasera Tare, to behold the beautiful pastimes of Krishna, like that he says. So the meaning of this is what? Not that they wouldn't go home. They would take the body to home, but they would leave the heart in Vrindavan. Just like some boys wear a t-shirt where it's written, I lost my heart in Vrindavan. That's the meaning of this. Yata loka aise keha nahi ayagar. So they were so attracted. So haila chamatkar means this chamatkar should happen in all of our hearts also. What is this chamatkar? At one point of spiritual life, you become very thrilled by spiritual life. You become awakened in spiritual life. You feel like regularly coming and hearing classes, regularly taking part in Sankirtan. And even when you go home, you develop a greed, spiritual greed, to bring deities to home. You want to establish Gaurnita at home. You want to study Bhagavatam at home. Not only you are satisfied studying Bhagavatam, you want to also make a circle of devotees and study Bhagavatam with them. So that is actually the chamatkar in the life of a devotee. A devotee doesn't look like ordinary people. He or she becomes very, very excited in spiritual life. Some wonderful thing happens. Keha nache keha gaya Sri Krishna Gopal. Premete bhasila loka stri vriddha ava. So when Mahaprabhu was singing and dancing, some people also started dancing. And some people were singing loudly. What they were singing? Govinda, Govinda, Gopala Nandala. Govinda, Govinda, Gopala Nandala. Govinda, Govinda, Gopala Nandala. Govinda, Govinda, Gopala Nandala. Gopala Nandala, Gopala Nandala,
Gopala Nandalal, Gopala Nandalal,
Gopala Nandala, Gopala Nandala,
Gopala Nandalal, Gopala Nandalal,
Govinda, Govinda, Gopala Nandala, Govinda, Govinda, Gopala Nandala,
Govinda, Govinda, Gopala Nandalal, Govinda, Govinda, Gopala Nandalal.
Jai Jai Nanda Yashoda Dulal Girivaradhari Gopal. Jai Jai Nanda Yashoda Dulal Girivaradhari Gopal. Gopal, 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 Gopal,
Gopal, Gopal, Gopal,
Jai Jai Nanda Yashoda Dulal Girivaradhari Gopal.
Jai Jai Nanda Yashoda Dulal, Girivaradhari Gopal.
Gopal, 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 Gopal.
Gopal, 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 Gopal.
Govinda, Govinda, Gopal. Govinda, Govinda, Gopal.
Govinda, Govinda, Gopal. Govinda, Govinda, Gopal.
Govinda, Govinda, Gopal. Krishna, Govinda, Govinda, Gopal.
Govinda, Govinda, Gopal. Govinda, Govinda, Gopal.
Govinda, Govinda, Gopal Nandala. Govinda, Govinda,
Gopal Nandala.
Gopal Nandala, Gopal Nandala.
Gopal Nandala, Gopal Nandala.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
So all the Alalnath Vasis felt there was a flood of the holy name in Alalnath like this. And who were all floating in that flood? Premete Bhasila Loka. Stri means women, Vriddha means old people, Abal means children. So children, old and young, men, women, everybody was floating in that flood of the holy name in Alalnath. And therefore it was so relishable. They felt that let it go on for eternity, non-stop. देखी नित्यानंद प्रभु कहे भक्त गणे हे रूपे नृत्य आगे हवे ग्रामे ग्रामे. At that time, Lord Nityananda saw this kind of kirtan and he made a prophetic statement. Hey rupe nritya aage habe grame grame. In future, this kind of kirtan will happen in every town and village. Lord Nityananda declared. Nityananda Prabhu ki. You all know the other statement. Prithivite achaya dinagaradi gram. Sarvatra prachara hoiva moranam. Who said that? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that. My name will be chanted in every town and village. That is Mahaprabhu's prediction. And this is Nityananda Prabhu's prediction. So, Nityananda Prabhu also predicted one more thing. There will be Adbhuta Mandir in Mayapur in future. That also he predicted. So, in this way, you find predictions in many places. So, there are 10 E's, we call it, of Mahaprabhu's preaching style. Actually, it's a very big subject, but I will only briefly touch it. Okay, how he did that. Matta Simha Praya Prabhu Karila Gamana Prema Veshe Jaya Kari Nama Sankirtana. So, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Matta Simha Praya means like a maddened lion. Mahaprabhu Karila Gamana. He left for South India. Why he is saying like a maddened lion? Because Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in a great mood of preaching to the people of South India and distributing the holy name extensively in South. So he came to Andhra Pradesh also, like very close to the Srikakulam. There's a place called Kurmagram. Correct? No? So Mahaprabhu came there. He also came to Godavari Bank, which is close to Rajamundri, where he had a conversation with Ramananda Rai. So like that, many places Mahaprabhu visited, which is very dear to the hearts of all the people in Telangana and Andhra. So those places Mahaprabhu visited also. So Prema Veshe Jaya Kari Nama Sankirtan. When he was going, he was not walking in the street, he was dancing in the street. Like you are seeing. Not only he was just dancing, he was also singing the Nama Sankirtan. So in the Gaur Purnima Day morning lecture, I showed one video. You all saw that? How Mahaprabhu, he was dancing along with many others, with raising his arms. And somebody was a flower seller. Mahaprabhu would pick him by the hands and tell him, you also dance. He made him dance. Somebody was a farmer in the field. Mahaprabhu would call the farmer, come out and dance with us for some time. So which goes to show, Mahaprabhu was actually eager to make common man in the society to be a devotee of Krishna. Children, old people, women, men, everybody should join the Sankirtan movement. That was his desire, Mahaprabhu's desire. Do your activities, do your duties, but you should also engage in Nam Sankirtan. Kathak Kshane Rahi Prabhu Tare Alingiya Vidaya Karila Tare Shakti Sanchariya. Not that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was continuously singing and dancing and going when people are all watching. No. He also Kathakshane Rahi means wherever the crowd gathered, assembled, Mahaprabhu would put a break there. He would stand there. And he would also speak there to the people. So when we are doing Harinam in the streets, wherever there's a crowd of people you find, you should stop there and give a short talk. Talk about the holy name. Talk about the Yuga Dharma for this age. Tell the people to chant the holy name. So Mahaprabhu would stop also like that. And the Tare Alingiya, Prabhupada explains the word Alingiya. Not only he embraced some other people, that also means he gave them two things, Prabhupada says. He gave them transcendental knowledge and gave them transcendental bliss. Both these things, Sambit and gladdening. He gave them those two things. So, by giving them the Sambandha Jnana, Sambandha between Jiva and Krishna, Jivera Swarupahoy, Krishna Nitya Das. And what is Sambandha between Krishna and Maya? There is a shloka in Bhagavad Gita. Daivi Ghiyesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya Mameva Ye Prapadyante Maya Metam Tarantite. Sambandha between Krishna and Maya. Mama Maya, Krishna says. Another verse 9.10, what is it? Maya Adhyakshena Prakriti. So Maya Devi is working under Krishna's direction, and she's like a tuition teacher for the conditioned souls. She purifies us. And what is the sambandha between Maya and Jiva? Krishna Bolya Sayi Jeev Bhoga Vancha Kare Nikatastha Maya Tare Japati Adare. There's one verse. As soon as the Jiva thinks of enjoying in this world independent of Krishna, the Maya captures him and punishes him with her Trishul. What is the Trishul? Trivida Tap, we call it. Adhyatmika, Adi Bhautika, Adi Devika. And another verse says, Krishna Bolya Sayi Jeev Anadi Bahir Mukha Atayeva maya deya samsara dukkha. In this world, the samsara dukkha comes because of bahirmukha, from Krishna. See, if you look towards the sun, there is no shadow. If you turn away from the sun, you see the shadow. Turn towards Krishna, there is no suffering in life. Turn away from Krishna, then all misgivings come. Envy and hatred and sense gratification, all problems. So you all can repeat after me one verse from Bhagavatam. Janasya Krishnat vimukhasya daivat adharmashilasya sudukkitasya anugrahayeka charanti nunam bhutani bhavyani janardhanasya. See, Janasya means Janta. Janasya Krishnat Vimukhasya means they have turned their face away from Krishna. Therefore, they have become Adharmashilasya, is saying. Adharmashil means what? Irreligious. Therefore, they have become Sudukkitasya. You understand these three words in Sanskrit? Bahirmukha, Adharmashil, Sudukkitasya. How many of you understand the meaning of these three words? Very easy. Simple Sanskrit. Bahirmukha means turning away from Krishna. Adharmashil means irreligious. Sudukkitasya means suffering. So if you want to become Sukhitasya instead of Dukhitasya, what you have to do? Very simple. What we have to do? So we have to become Dharmashil instead of Adharmashil. But when will you become Dharmashil? Has anybody? By turning towards Krishna, that's correct. By turning towards Krishna. So instead of turning our face away from Krishna, turn Unmukh. Instead of Bahirmukh, we should become Unmukh. Yeah. And Mahaprabhu's goal is that only. He wants to make all jivas Unmukh. Sevonmukhe jihvadao. Swayameva suratyada. Krishna Anushilanam. So he is teaching that. So how to turn our face towards Krishna? We should turn our back to Maya and turn our face towards Krishna. That's what we have to do. Right now, how it is, in Hindi we write, you have seen 36? Like for example, in Hindi, I don't know how will you write it. Hindi can write it? How will you put it? See, if I put like this, oh, in Google, okay, I'll show you. English Hindi, okay. So you can see, in English when you put 36, it's giving translation it is giving. This is actually, I don't want what is the word for it. I want to show you that in English, if you put 36, in Hindi, if you make it in Hindi, it will be like this. You have seen that? So that's the meaning of Bahirma. Krishna is facing this side, you face this side like this. Isn't it? Now you have to face like this. It is 63. 63 means they both are facing each other. 36 means they both are facing away from each other. Now that is our situation now in this world there. Therefore, what Mahaprabhu did, Alangya means he actually made people embrace Krishna consciousness. Three things you need to know. Jiva, Jada Prakriti and Ishwar. What is the sambandha between the three? Called Sambandha Jnana. Mahaprabhu taught that actually, Sambandha Jnana. Even to Sanatana Goswami also. And he taught all the people also. And then that is how he did Shakti Sancharya. Prabhupada explains in purport. He stayed in one place, like here you are saying, he is sitting and talking to people. You talk to people, knowledge, and after knowledge, what is the next thing? Then Sankirtan. With knowledge, one should perform the Sankirtana, knowing Krishna's position as Krishna is. Like we sing, Aparada shunya hoy loha Krishna naam. Aparada shunya hoy loha Krishna naam. Krishna Mata, Krishna Pita, Krishna Dana Pran. Krishna Mata, Krishna Pita, Krishna Prana Dana. Krishna Rasam Sadhu Karo Chadi Anachar. Vivedaya Krishna Nam Sarva Dharmasthar.
Vivedaya Krishna Nam Sarva Dharmasthar.
Aparada Shuna Hoy Loha Krishna Nam.
Aparada Shuna Hoy Loha Krishna Nam.
Krishna Mata, Krishna Pita, Krishna Dhana Pran.
Krishna Mata, Krishna Pita, Krishna Dana Pran.
Krishna samsar karo chadi anata.
Samsara karo chadiya samsara.
Vivedaya Krishna Nam Sarva Dharma This is what Mahaprabhu taught. Huh? He taught everybody, Krishna is your mother, Krishna is your father, Krishna is your wealth, Krishna is your life itself. Huh? And he also said, chant the holy name inoffensively, from the heart. Don't pretend, don't make a show of it. And don't be a falakankshi, always chasing after the pleasures of the world. He said that, considering Krishna to be mother, father and everything, like innocent child taking shelter of parents, like that you take shelter. And also, Jivadaya, Krishnanam, and like we say now, Jivadaya, Vaishnava Seva, and Name Ruchi. This is the essence of life. And also, Krishnera samsara karo chadi anachar. Give up all bad habits. Like his Prabhupada taught the 4 regulative principles. So, no illicit sex, no meat eating, no gambling, no intoxication. So, in this way, he taught people very simple knowledge, basic knowledge, whatever is required for doing bhakti. And also chant and dance to the tune of the holy name. Shakti Sancharya. And Vidaya Karila. He left that place and went ahead. And then what happened? Sai jana nija grame kariya gamana. Krishna bali hase kande nache anukshana. So Sai jana, that those fellows who heard Mahaprabhu speak the glories of Krishna conscious philosophy, Nija grame, when they went to their own village, Kariya Gamana, when they went away, in their village they started doing Sankirtan. They would rise early in the morning and they would do Mangalarti in their homes. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It is a fact. Narottama Das Thakur in Keturi Gram festival, for the first time, came up with a very beautiful type of singing the Mahamantra and playing in Mridanga and dancing according to the tune. So Mother Janava Devi, who is consort of Lord Nityananda, she was the then Acharya at that time. So at that time, all the Vaishnavas deeply appreciated Narottama Das Thakur's style of kirtan and playing of Mridanga. So it became very popular in the Brahma Madhava Gaudiya Sampradaya. This kirtan of Bengali Vaishnavas is so much glorified. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is one pastime. When Pratap Rudra was standing on the rooftop along with Sarvabhattacharya and Gopinath Acharya, he was watching the Bengali Vaishnavas coming. In the front, he saw Advaita Acharya Prabhu with a long beard, elderly personality. And then he saw the other Vaishnavas coming behind him. And he observed that they sing extremely melodiously. So he says that, Aiche Prema, Aiche Nitya, Aiche Haridvani, Kaha nahi deki, Aiche Kaha nahi shuni, he says. I have never seen, Aiche Prema means I have never seen such love with which people sing. And I have never seen dance like this, so beautifully these personalities dance. And such a Haridvani, enchanting to the hearts, I never heard anywhere. Either he says. And then he's asking, what is this? Please tell me. And Sarvam Bhattacharya says, he says this is actually Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement. These are all Bengali Vaishnavas, they sing inoffensively, purely from their hearts. In the Rath Yatra festival also it is said, when the groups of Vaishnavas were coming, their coming is compared to clouds in the sky. And the loud singing is compared to the thunder inside the clouds. And when they were singing loudly, singing from their hearts, tears of love for Krishna were springing from their eyes, which is compared to rain shower. Like that. And it is said that the Mridanga and Kartal, their sounds became doused when they were doing Haridwani. Generally what happens is when we play Jambe and other things, the Haridwani becomes doused. Sound of the holy name is suppressed. On the other hand, when the Bengali Vaishnavas were singing, their voice was sung in such a chorus. So, when it springs from the heart, inoffensive name, it completely cleanses the heart of the devotee. So, therefore, the Vaishnavas from Bengal, their Kirtan was so much appreciated by Pratap Rudra. In the same manner, here also, when this person, after associating with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu briefly, he is going to his village and he was singing and dancing in the early morning hours. He would be dancing and singing. Anukshan means at every moment he was dancing like that. Seeing that, what happened? Yare deke tare kahe kaha Krishna naam. He mata Vaishnava kaila sabane jagram. The best preaching in Krishna consciousness movement happens when you yourself are blissfully situated. When a devotee is not enjoying Krishna consciousness, practicing joyfully, then the preaching cannot be very effective. Imagine you go and tell somebody, please chant Hare Krishna. And they will say, why are you so sad chanting Hare Krishna? Maybe you are struggling with 16 rounds, you are also trying to give me suffering, they will think. So, people should see that this person is, therefore it is said, your actions speak so loud that I cannot hear what you say. There is a saying in English. So, devotees, if they are waking up in the morning, wearing tilak, wearing dhoti kurta, wearing sari, coming in front of the Lord, singing, dancing, chanting the holy name, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, all the neighborhood people become influenced. They'll come and ask, what is this? Your home is not an ordinary home. Generally, who is there in the world who dances in the early morning? Everybody has so much things on their head, and their heads are spinning. So, therefore, any devotee practicing strictly, sincerely, seriously, people become influenced. Therefore, Yare Deke is said, Yare Deke Tare Kahe. And this person is not only enjoying Krishna consciousness, we also should preach it to other people, make an endeavor by preaching it to other people, neighborhood people. Call your people in the neighborhood and put up a program in the clubhouse or something for every festival, like Ram Navami is coming, Janmashtami. You can put up a festival, get all the people in the colony, make them chant Hare Krishna, give them some prasad, keep a book table of Prabhupada, distribute the books to them. So that's what this fellow did. Yare deke tare kahe kaha Krishna naam. Whomever he saw on the street, he would tell them, chant Hare Krishna. He would tell them. Then they would, that's how we all chanted. Like first time when I went to Chowpatty temple, His Holiness Bhakti Samat Maharaj was my Shiksha Guru. So I would walk behind him. If he goes to temple hall, I'll go with him. When he comes down, I would come back with him. When he would go to his room, I will go with him. So he thought I am a menace. He thought that this boy is behind me always. So he told me that, you see, Radheshyam, I will introduce you to some more devotees so that I will also get some time for myself. He said. Then he took me to one devotee in the next room. And that devotee was sitting and chanting. He said he's very, very senior devotee. He studied his MS in computer science from Rice University, America. He's a highly qualified personality. Now you can talk to him, ask your doubts to him. And he went away. Then that's the first time I saw that personality. And I asked him, can I ask you some philosophical questions? He said, you can ask me later. Now let us chant, he said. Then he asked me, how many rounds are you chanting? I said, 4 rounds, I said. So he said, today you try 8 rounds, he said. So then I said, I generally do 4. You are asking me to do 4 more? He said, no, I will chant with you, he said. So then he sat there, I sat here in 2 cots, we were sitting. And we chanted 4 rounds. And who is the great personality? His Grace Krishnanand Prabhu ki? He was a person. So, of course, in this way, Krishnanpu was boosting my chanting to 16 rounds eventually. So therefore, you will see that, yare deke tare kahe kaha Krishna naam. Hey mata Vaishnava kela saba nija gram. When this person was not only singing and dancing and enjoying Krishna consciousness, he was also preaching in his village to other people also. And everybody in the whole Nijagram, his own village, everybody became Vaishnavas. You go door to door. I saw it literally happening in Nigadi, where me, Gauranga Prabhu, and one Sudama Prabhu was staying in one room. So we went and started preaching in English. But then people wanted in Marathi language. Then we called some Bombay devotees to come. They came and gave in Marathi. So I would give in English. Another program will go in Marathi. We saw within 6 months, the crowd started swelling like anything. 400, 500, 800,000 people started coming. Then we took a hall. And eventually people became initiated. And after they got initiated, eventually the Gaurnita deities started coming. In the same street, 5, 6 deities. Like that, multiple streets. And then people started putting up festivals in their home. And everybody started having groups of devotees from the neighborhood. They started preaching and making devotees. Number of preachers increased. Eventually, Nigadi temple came up. Nigadi is actually in the outskirts of Pune. There's one place where we were staying in our company going days. So, you'll see that in whichever place you are there, 2 things you have to do. Relish your Krishna consciousness and preach Krishna consciousness. These 2 things we have to do. If you are relish is the word, is a sanctified word for enjoy. We don't say enjoy Krishna consciousness. We don't say. We say relish. We say relish the prasadam. Relish prasadam means remembering it to be Krishna's remnants. Enjoy it. That's the meaning of relish. So relish Krishna consciousness, and also yare deke tare kahe kaha Krishna naam. Tell people to chant holy names. Keep lot of japamalas in your home. Give it to people, neighborhood people. Tell them, call them to your home. In India, people are so good, so pious. If you give a mala and tell them chant, immediately they chant. Like in one of the student hostels, our boys, devotee boys, are sitting and chanting in the room. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. So their eyes were closed, they were all chanting. And after some time, when they opened their eyes, they saw one more boy was sitting with them. And he didn't have mala with him. But he was also sitting and chanting with them. Because the door was slightly open, he came and occupied. After that, they asked the boy, who are you? He said, I'm totally new. I was just passing through the room. I heard this chanting. I liked it very much. So he came and joined. Then they gave him mala after that. People in India are oozing with punya so much. Overflooding with punya. Prabhupada says in Vrindavan, when he established Krishna Balaram temple, the very first day, thousands of people came. Prabhupada said, see, look at these people. We never called them. Still they have come. Because they have direct relation with Krishna and Balaram. And they are circumambulating and bobbing down their head, offering fruits, offering flowers. In India, you just put up a spiritual ambience somewhere, people will crowd that place. Because the Punya Bhumi it is. So therefore, we have to take little effort. Kaha Krishna Naam. And he made the whole village Krishna conscious. Any house you went, you're passing through a house, you heard the Gauda Kirtan. Just like our Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's followers. People were chanting, dancing, people were wearing tilak, they had kantimala, they had bead bag. The village became like that. Then what happens after that? Kramantara haite dekite ailayata jan. Tara darshana kripaya hayatara sama. Sometimes from the neighborhood village, somebody would come into this village. Like for example, in India, villages, people give their daughter in marriage to people in the neighborhood village only, not very far away. For example, if a sister of a boy, if she came from that village to this village along with her husband, just for 2-3 days, so she would see that, oh, my brother is totally changed. Look at his haircut, short haircut. We call it Hare Krishna cut. And look at his tilak. He's wearing kantimala and he has become much different. He has given up all watching cinema, watching movie, playing mundane games. How is he so much transformed? She's asking the brother, how did he become like this? And then he tells a story, he speaks philosophy to her, and he shows the morning program, everything. If they stay for 2, 3, 4 days, they develop a desire. In our home also, we want an altar. And we also want to chant and everything. So they take Japamala from him and Tilak box from him, everything. Then they go to their village. Tara Darshana Kripaya Haya Tara Sama. They became exactly like him. like that person. Say, I gramera loka Vaishnava karaya. Anya grame asitare deki Vaishnava haya. So when they went to their village, Anyagrami, even other people also seeing them became Vaishnavas there. This is how Krishna consciousness expands from one village to another. So one family member may exchange with another family member, but when it goes to another village, it expands in that village also. Jaya yara grame kare upadesha. Hey mata Vaishnava haila sabha dakshina desha. So all over South India, the Krishna consciousness spreaded like this, he says. So I made a survey of in South India where all the Hare Krishna mantra is being chanted other than ISKCON. I made a survey also. There are more than 15, 20 different organizations which chant Hare Krishna also, apart from ISKCON. People generally think only ISKCON people are pushing Hare Krishna, we think. But there are many in South India. I don't want to take the names because some of them have a Mayavadi mix also, some of them. Their philosophy may be a little mixed with Mayavad, but many chant Hare Ram mantra also they chant. So in this way it expanded all over South India. So now I actually want to come to, because we especially were planning to discuss Kurma Brahman, how he was delivered. Is it big enough for everybody? You can see it, or I should make it bigger? Okay, I'll make it a little more bigger. Is it big enough? So Mahaprabhu is coming to Kurma Gram now. Kurma name se hi gram hai Vaidika Brahmana. Bahushada Bhaktya Kaila Prabhura Nimantrana. So Mahaprabhu is coming there to Kurma Gram, and there was one Brahmana there. His name was Kurma Brahman. So Bahu Shraddha Bhakti, with great devotion and faith, he invited Mahaprabhu to come to his home. See here, on the extreme right, you see Mahaprabhu is sitting and the Brahmana is welcoming him and offering respects, and all the others are running around. They cooked a lot of prasadam. They are feeding Mahaprabhu prasad. Gare ayu Prabhura Kaila Pada Prakshalana. Sejala Vamsha Sahita Karila Bhakshana. So he washed the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and offered the water on the heads of all the family members. So, and not only that, he drank that water, and also he gave it to all the family members also. There is one verse which Parikshit Maharaj tells Shukadeva Goswami, Yesham samsmaranat pumsam sadyo shuddhanti vai grihaha kim punad darshana sparsha pada shauchasanadibihi. Like that, there is a verse in the Bhagavatam where he says, how blessed is that home where a saintly person has put his feet, he says. And then he says, what if one gets to wash the lotus feet of the spiritual master? And what if somebody gets a chance to offer flower petals? And what if somebody gets a chance to sit down at his lotus feet and hear some instructions from him? And what if somebody gets a chance to understand the subject matter spoken to him and ask questions to him and receive answers from him and to receive instructions from him and to take initiation from him and become his devoted disciple to him and lay down one's body, mind, words, family, everything at his lotus feet and go back to Godhead. Like this, you can add everything. In this way, one is considered blessed and fortunate as one comes closer and closer to such saintly association. Aneka prakara snehe bhiksha karaila gosaira sheshanasa vamshe kahaila gosaila sheshanasa vamshe khaila. So Aneka Prakar Sneha, with great affection, he fed Mahaprabhu varieties of prasada. And then whatever remnants were left, so he along with the family members partook of the Mahaprasad. हे पद पद्म तुम्हार ब्रह्मा ध्यान करे, से पद पद्म साक्षात आइल मोर घरे. Oh, my dear Lord, these two lotus feet of yours are worshipped even by Brahma and other devatas. Meditate on your lotus feet. Like you all know, when Brahma sat on the lotus, he was meditating on the lotus feet of Vishnu. And then he got darshan of Vishnu also. So the same lotus feet are in my home, like that he says. See Pada Padma Sakshad Aila Moragare. Today the same lotus feet have come to my home, which means he is glorifying Lord Chaitanya as Krishna himself. Mora Bhagyera Simana Ayaya Kahana. आज मोरस लाग्या हैला जन्म कुल धना. He's saying, my Lord, there is no limit to my great fortune. It cannot be described. Today my family, birth and riches have all been glorified. See, one important point, this Kurma Brahman was a rich Brahman. He was not a poor Brahman. Sometimes some Brahmanas are rich also, correct? He had, he had lands, he had cows, with many people working. Sometimes the Brahmana also has abundant charity and he may be rich. But his riches did not satisfy him. That's the point. Although he was very rich, now we will see in the subsequent verses, he was not satisfied with that wealth. Kripa kara Prabhu more ya toma sange. Sahitena pari dukha vishaya tarange. Kripa kara Prabhu, please show mercy on me, O Lord Chaitanya. Ya toma sange. And let me go. Ya means let me accompany you. And go with you by leaving behind all this wealth and riches and family and everything. This is simply a great headache, trouble for me, he says. Sahitana pari dukkha vishaya tarange. I am floating in the waves of Vishaya. Now Prabhupada will explain what is that Vishaya. Prabhupada will explain in the purport. Due to which I am suffering in this family. I want to go with you, accompany you, like that he is saying. The waves of materialistic life. So Vishaya Taranga means materialistic life. You see, in family, a family man has many duties to fulfill. If you read in Srimad Bhagavatam, you will see, he has to raise his daughters and get them married, which is compared to climbing a mountain. Because sometimes he has to accumulate wealth and safely settle the daughter. Similarly, sometimes the son is naughty, he does not listen to the father. He has to tolerate rebellion of the children sometimes. Sometimes he has to put up a business where he may experience losses, money losses. And somebody has given debt, he is chasing after him and to recover the money and is threatening him. If you don't give me money, I will send gundas to beat you up. There are fears. Similarly, there are other relatives, friends who are trying to cheat us of our property. You want to properly get it divided and taken, but they are not ready to give you. There are people who take you to court. So there are many troubles like this when we are leading a life and family life, unless one is very, very spiritually advanced and keeps material life simple. So we have a very, very simple formula. Very, very simple. Remember this. Maximize Krishna time, minimize Maya time. Which means the more you become Krishna conscious, Vaishnavas become your relatives. Guru becomes the father. Shastras becomes the mother. And then in your family also, you find altar will come. And the big television will go into inside room. It's not a... Otherwise, in any typical home, there's a huge TV right in the front room, which is like a family guru. And all grandfather, grandmother, mother, father, children, grandchildren, everybody is sitting with faith and devotion and watching. You can see that. So that represents material life. You see? Spiritual life means big altar. And also a big drawing room where you can call all the friends, relatives, neighborhood people and conduct programs weekly. Actually, nowadays, people have developed a lot of fear for organizing programs in their home, especially because many people fear cooking. How will we cook for so many people? One is money, worry about spending money. Another one is worry about the effort involved in cooking. So some programs are going on where multiple Matajis bring prasad from their home. Somebody brings sabji, somebody brings sambar, somebody brings rice, like that. That is also all right. Or if some lady can cook at home and provide prasad, that's not an ordinary home. The lady must be really very advanced in consciousness to be willing to open the door for the people to come and do a program and feed them prasadam, hosting a program at home. In Pune, in a public program like this, I made an invitation. How many of you would like to host program in your houses? Like that, I asked the question. Immediately, some, 8 or 10 men were raising hand, and there were other 10 men looking towards Mataji's side. And you all know why they were seeing. And they were looking at the wives. Some wives were nodding their head, go ahead. Some wives were saying, what they were saying. Because they were afraid. If you arrange a program, who will cook? You will arrange a program, you will be sitting and listening to lecture, and I have to cook. Correct, no? So, therefore, you will find, see, what happens is if you don't cook for Vaishnavas and feed Vaishnavas and do program and all, that is also burdensome. I don't say there's no burden. But that burden become substituted by material burden. There is no possibility in this world to escape burden. You can take burden for Krishna's movement or you take burden for Maya. Which one is better choice? Take anxiety for Krishna consciousness. That is better. Otherwise, you will see, you may not host a program in the house, but there will be a lot of problem inside the house only. Fighting, leg pulling, shouting, yelling, misunderstanding and everything. So somehow in the material world is like that one has to tolerate the sufferings. So either you tolerate the materialistic life suffering, or you take you take on your shoulder, burden on the shoulder of Guru. You shoulder the burden of Guru by taking on your shoulder some of the preaching engagements and things like that. There is one house in Pune. One fellow, he went from a 2 BHK to 3 BHK house, big house. So then he invited me to his house. I couldn't go for the Griha Pravesh. I said I'll come later. 6 months later, when I went to his house, he said why he moved from 2 BHK to 3 BHK, because one big room, he has kept it for Prabhupada's books. All the stock of big boxes of Bhagavad Gitas were fully packed in that entire room. He said, Prabhuji, in this entire area, books go from here only. He said, my big room, I have made it a go down. He said, therefore I took a big house, he said. And he also showed another big room which is using it as a satsang hall where he is calling devotees. So it requires a lot of enthusiasm to do such thing, you see. Otherwise, one will suffer from Vishaya Taranga, husband, wife fighting and having some misunderstanding and children rebelling and quarreling at home. We should not give opportunity for our mind and senses to hurt ourselves or hurt others. Rather, we should do Rishikena, Rishikesha, Sevanam, Bhakti Ruchate. Engage mind and senses in Krishna service, they will get purified. And purified mind gives you bliss, experience of bliss. And impure mind causes us pain. So he is saying like this, oh my Lord Chaitanya, kindly show me favor, let me go with you. I can no longer tolerate the waves of misery caused by materialistic life, he says. See what Prabhupada is saying. This statement is applicable to whom he is saying? For whom? Yeah. Prabhupada is saying, this is applicable for everyone, regardless of how rich you are or how prosperous one may be. Some of you may be thinking that once you become rich, you won't have trouble. Correct, no? Like one man was telling, if you get a car, I'll be happy. Car doesn't give you happiness. Money doesn't give you happiness. There are very rich people also who suffer. Even very big rich people's family, there are brother fight also. You'll find. So he says, the materialistic way of life causes a burning in the heart. One cannot make any provisions for the troublesome life of the material world. It is a fact that one may be very happy as far as riches are concerned, and one may be very opulent in every respect. Yet one has to manage the Vishayas to meet the demands of the body and of so many family members and subordinates. One has to take so much trouble to minister to others. What happens is, materialistic life means, for example, see, all the ladies have a kitty party, they go for that. And there all the ladies ask, how much is your husband earning? And what is he providing? Then they develop more greed. They come back home and say, do you know her husband has given her this? So you also have to give me this. By wrong comparison. But when they come to temple, you chant, dance, hear Krishna Katha, our materialistic propensities reduce. Then we learn to lead a simple life. And you also find that Mataji is coming from very rich families, are washing pots and cooking for the deities, and they are leading a simple life. And you become amazed. Like Ambarish Prabhu is a billionaire, but he wears simple dhoti kurta and lives like any of us. You can see that. Prabhupada, he became Prabhupada's disciple, although he is a grandson of Henry Ford. So in ISKCON, you will find, even in Bombay, I have seen Krishna Chandra Prabhu. He'll wear simple dhoti kurta and come and dance in the kirtan along with his car driver. We'll be dancing together with him. So they practice simplicity. So in this way, you will see that when we become less materialistic, then the burning sensation in the heart also reduces. But the more and more we become materialistic, it's like increasing fever. 102, 103, 104 degree Fahrenheit. It's like that. When fever increases, suffering also is more. Tatma says, Vishayachadya Kabe Shuddha Bhiman. Thus, one must become freed from materialistic way of life. One has to merge himself in the ocean of transcendental bliss, he says. Say, materialistic way of life means how to increase the material goods to become happy. How to work hard and hard, more and more, to make money. Why? Money, money, money. Money is honey. So that's materialistic life. To accumulate more property, more goods, more material pleasures. One cannot relish the transcendental bliss without being freed from the materialistic way of life. It appears that the Brahmana named Kurma was materially very happy, for he expressed his family tradition as Janma Kuladhan. Now being glorious, he wanted to leave all these material opulences. He wanted to travel with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. According to the Vedic way of civilization, one should leave his family and attaining 50 years of age and go to the forest of Vrindavan to devote the rest of his life to service of the Lord. This is not the end of it. Next purport you have to see what Prabhupada says. Yeah. Prabhu kahe aicha baat, kabu na kahiba. Grihe rahi Krishna nama nirantara laiva. Mahaprabhu told him, don't speak like that, Kurma Brahmana again. Better to remain at home and chant the holy name of Krishna always. Prabhupada says here, it's not advisable in this age of Kali to leave one's family suddenly. For people are not trained as proper brahmacharis and grihastas. Actually, we have seen also, like we started a Vanaprastha ashram in Pune many years ago. One man came and told me that now I am 65. I want to be Vanaprastha in your temple. He came. But then I told him, stay for a week and then I will talk to you. After third day, he was absconding. And 4 months he was not seen. After 4 months when he came, I asked him, where were you? He said, what to do, Prabhu? So many social obligations. He said, my grandson's Uparayanam, and then after that my granddaughter's this one, and now my brother's grandson's this, and my sister's this, and they have so many social obligations. Network, big network. After WhatsApp came, the networks increased also. Everybody is in different groups also. People connect. I have to go here, I have to go there. People have a socializing tendency. See, if you socialize too much, you will not get enough time for your spiritual life. You have to socialize with some people at least who are close to you, but you have to keep some limit also on that. See, every year people are increasing the numbers in their WhatsApp numbers. But the number of hours per day is increasing or same? 24 hours. Do you get every year 28 and 32 and 40 hours? It increases. Hours are same, but the numbers are increasing. Therefore, we are stressed. Why are we stressed? The phone numbers are increasing in the phone. Our socializing tendency is increasing, but time is limited. Therefore, we feel pressure, too much pressure. So go back to your mobile and cut down numbers of people whom you feel are not necessary to connect. They are not helping you to grow in life. Rather, they are actually making you more materialistic and suffer in life. Then have limited numbers to connect. And with devotees, one should connect. Devotees also should be careful whom to connect with. Some devotees will gossip too much, blasphemy and all. So therefore, he says, Sajatiya, Snigdha, Satovara, three criteria. Sajatiya means a like-minded devotee who want to advance in spiritual life. Snigdha means they are affectionate to you and they will help you grow. Svatobara means they should be more advanced than you in Krishna consciousness. Sajatiya, Snigdha, Svatobara. Like I like associating with Gaurang Prabhu because I always see that he's absorbed in scriptures very wonderfully. And like-minded, we like discussing on philosophy together. And Snigdha, the affection is there since early days. We are together in Krishna consciousness. So we should find out Krishna conscious friends, and with them we can socialize. Then it becomes spiritual socializing. It is not a waste of time. So therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advised the Brahmana not to be too eager to give up family life artificially. It would be better to remain within his family and try to become purified by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra regularly under the direction of a spiritual master. This is the instruction of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. If this principle is followed by everyone, there is no need to accept sannyas. Become an ideal householder by offenselessly chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and teaching the same principle to others. And then Mahaprabhu is giving another important instruction. Yare dekha tare kaha Krishna upadesh Amara ajnaya guru haya tare desh. Mahaprabhu said, instruct everyone to follow the orders of Lord Shri Krishna as they are given in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. In this way, become a spiritual master and try to liberate everyone in this land. I forgot to tell you one point. In his South India Yatra, Mahaprabhu, what he did, sometimes hundreds of people would see him and get attracted. They would also raise their hand and chant and dance. Mahaprabhu would smile at them, chant and dance, and induce them to chant Hare Krishna. And in places where crowds of people were there, he stopped and preached also. But then, in certain villages, he found a very high-class devotee of Krishna. Those who are already Krishna devotees and who were very pure-hearted and sober and austere. So Mahaprabhu would tell them, okay, tonight I will stay in your house. And whole night Mahaprabhu would speak to them about Krishna. Whole night. And next day morning, he would declare them that you are the Acharya for this village and now you initiate. And they would become guru of the whole village and they would conduct initiation ceremony in Vaishnava Sampradaya. And Mahaprabhu would go ahead. Which means some of them he empowered as chanters of the holy name. Some of them he empowered as preachers of the holy name. Some of them he empowered as gurus who are giving diksha like that. So in this way, here also he is saying, Amara Ajna Guru Haya, Tare Desh, like that he is saying. Instead of living engrossed in material activities, people throughout the world should take advantage of this moment and chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra at home with their families. One should also refrain from sinful activities, illicit sex, meat eating, gambling, and intoxication. Out of these 4 items, illicit sex is very sinful. Every person must get married. Every woman especially must get married. He's saying women should not remain spinsters alone, single, because they may be exploited by other men in the society, he says. And also, when a woman, if she gets married and begets children and tries to raise the children, a lot of difficulties there in raising children. Then that softens their heart. They learn tolerance, patience, humility, everything. And also serving a husband, they grow in humility also. In this way, they can advance in spiritual life peacefully. But if they remain spinsters, they don't marry, then sometimes they may face challenges in living in society. Therefore, especially he says, every woman especially must get married because woman should have someone to protect her, like a father or a husband or a son, somebody. If she is alone, she has no brother, no father, no husband, what she should do? She should stay with her sister or somebody like that. She should be protected. And another important thing is saying, every person must get married. A man should not be sinful. Especially Prabhupada would, when he says about 4 regs, first thing he will say, illicit sex, you see here. Second thing he will say, meat eating, because these 2 are the most sinful. Illicit sex and killing animals. And then gambling, intoxication comes next to that. Nowadays, we are living in this Kali Yuga, degraded age. So even after you become a devotee, one is not very cautious. One can fall prey to illicit sex. For example, if a man is married, he has a wife, he has children, but after 20 years of marriage or 25 years of marriage, still he may turn to some unmarried girl because of the tendencies. Therefore, he is giving a warning. Prabhupada is giving a warning. Then he goes on like that. So we should keep ourselves clean and pure in our habits. Otherwise, we will not be able to lead a pure spiritual life. The path is very simple. Chant Hare Krishna and follow 4 regs. But if you follow, we'll go back to Godhead in this very life. One should stay at home, chant Hare Krishna mantra, and preach the instructions. 3 things, he says. And including 4 regs, it's 4 things totally. Kabunabadi be tomar vishaya taranga. Punarapi ye thaye pabe mora sanga. Mahaprabhu further told them, follow this instruction, your materialistic life at home will not obstruct your spiritual advancement. Indeed, if you follow these regulative principles, you will again meet here, or rather, you will never lose my company. You will always remember me, see me, you will never miss me, he says. So here he says, if one simply follows the instructions of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu under the guidance of his representative, and chants Hare Krishna mantra, teaching everyone as far as possible the same principle, contamination of materialistic way of life will not touch him. It does not matter whether you live in a holy place like Vrindavan. Here he says, now the for Jagannath Puri. Some people think that when I retire, I will leave the city and go to Vrindavan. So Prabhupada is answering here. Vrindavan, Navadvip, Jagannath Puri are midst of European cities where the materialistic way of life is very prominent. If a devotee follows instructions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he lives in the company of the Lord. Wherever he lives, he converts that place into Vrindavan or Navadvip. Prabhupada told in one lecture in America, my godbrothers are all living in Vrindavan and they may be celebrating Janmashtami. I am so unfortunate. I am missing them, he said. One girl asked Prabhupada, Swamiji, who told you to miss? You could have stayed back in India along with them, she asked. But Prabhupada said, but if I didn't come here, then how will you get Krishna consciousness? Therefore, I had to come here. And my Guru Maharaj has ordered me to go and preach in the West. But still, I am missing them, remembering them. So this is the heart of a devotee. We should stay in Hyderabad city, but remember the Vrindavan Dham and hanker for getting a residence in the Dham. And that is right consciousness. Otherwise, if you go and live in Vrindavan, you see the pigs, you see the dogs, you see the people there and see their misbehavior, then we may commit offenses staying in the Dham. Instead, even many of Mahaprabhu's associates never put their foot in Vrindavan Dham at all. They have not seen also. But they carried Vrindavan Dham in their hearts. So that's an important thing. This means that materialism cannot touch him. This is the secret of success for one advancing in Krishna consciousness. Hey mata yara ghare kare Prabhu bhiksha. Say I che kahe tare karaye shiksha. At whosoever's house Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted his alms by taking prasadam, he would convert the dwellers to his Sankirtan movement and advise them just as he advised the Brahmana named Kurma. His Holiness Bhakti Prem Maharaj in Ujjain, he was my very close friend in Calcutta temple since his brahmachari days as Ganganarayan Prabhu in those days. So later on also I kept in touch with him, fortunately. And he always shares such amazing realizations. Recently he told me he sent 2 brahmacharis to one place from Ujjain, a place called Ratlam, So they are staying there. From there, Maharaj has made a plan that he will keep 10 brahmacharis and give them 10 villages each. 2 brahmacharis will take care of 10 villages like that. So already they have started village preaching. What Maharaj was telling, he personally also travels to village and he said village people are so enthusiastic even now. They come in big numbers. He gives katha, he makes dancing kirtan and he gives the mala to them. And once you give mala and teach Hare Krishna to them, then they won't chant anything else. They will chant this only. They catch hold of the methods very nicely. So he was making a point that our congregation also and brahmacharis also, we should not just take care of our own Krishna consciousness in our own temples. We should go to the entire district. I heard that in Telangana there are 27 districts, I think, is it? How many? 33? 33 districts. Imagine having one center for each district. At least one house to begin with. If any of you have relatives in any of these districts, just like Mahaprabhu, when he gave Krishna consciousness to one man, he went to that village and made them Krishna conscious, correct now? So each of the leaders here in Hyderabad city can also go to that village where they have connection and make the place Krishna conscious there. So in this way, Maharaj is doing it in Ujjain. He was telling that many may not come to our temple, so we can go to their village, he was telling. By going to the village, in village, hundreds of people become devotees within a few months. His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj used to go in many places in Bangladesh. So all over Bangladesh, you find there are more than 35,000 initiated devotees. And another 7,000 or 8,000 or so people chanting 16 rounds. How it increased? Because devotees traveled in the village and gave them the holy name. And then Gita Bhagavatam message. And simple, we don't have to become big scholars. Goal of life is not to become a big scholar. Nowadays, many ISKCON devotees are sitting and they want to study Shad Sandarbhas, they want to study Jaiva Dharma, they want to study Ujjwal Nilamani and everything. We don't have to be very big Panditas. If you have a leaning for that, no problem, you take out a little extra time and read. But we should be in a mood of preaching, as you see here. Mahaprabhu is saying we should reach out the simple message: Bolo Krishna, Bhajo Krishna, Karo Krishna, Shiksha. Krishna Mata, Krishna Pita, Krishna Dana Pran. So therefore he is saying here, one who surrenders to him and is ready to follow him with heart and soul does not need to change his location. Nor is it necessary for one to change his status. One may remain a householder, a medical practitioner, an engineer, or whatever. It doesn't matter. One only has to follow the instruction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, chant Hare Krishna mantra, and instruct relatives and friends in the teachings of Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. One has learned humility and meekness at home, following the instructions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And in that way, one's life will be spiritually successful. Why you have to learn humility and meekness at home? Otherwise, you will definitely have fight with wife and children. Like if some fathers are too much trying to bring sons, daughters to Krishna consciousness by little bit forcing them, then they rebel. Or sometimes a man tries to control his wife, then wife rebels, and the home becomes a Kurukshetra, like that. So he's saying one should learn meekness and humility at home. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling this. So because once a person is humble, then there is no, only when two hands come, there is sound. One hand wants to fight, one hand goes away. Then what happens? No sound. So the sound at home can be reduced by meekness and humility. He says one has to be tolerant, patient and humble. And one has to reduce the expectations. And then focus on Krishna consciousness, he's saying. And then see how to be humble, Prabhupada is saying. One should not try to be artificially advanced devotee, thinking, I am a first class devotee, so it is best not to accept any disciples, he's saying. I am a first class devotee. When you think like that, actually, so thinking should be avoided. One has to become purified at home by chanting Hare Krishna mantra and preaching the principles enunciated by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Thus one can become a spiritual master and be freed from the contamination of material life. See here what Prabhupada is saying, that some people have artificial humility. They say that, I don't, speak to other people. I only study my own books and I want to become more and more purified. Some people say like that. And they criticize the preachers. They say that, unless you become a pure devotee, nobody can preach. Like that, these people say. But Prabhupada says in San Francisco, during that new Jagannath Puri, 80th installation of Jagannath, Prabhupada said to one boy, study 2 sentences from my book and speak 2 sentences. Prabhupada says that. You don't have to wait to become a pure devotee. Same thing he says. Don't think that I am a first class devotee, I don't preach. I purify my heart by chanting more rounds. Some people are telling me they are chanting 92 rounds, 64 rounds. Actually, we are told that chant 16 rounds, 20 rounds, 25 rounds, but also take out time to preach also, he's saying. One has to become purified at home by chanting Hare Krishna mantra and preaching the principles enunciated by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Thus one can become a guru and be freed from contamination of material life. There are also many Sahajiyas who decry the activities of 6 Goswamis, who are personal associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and who enlighten society by writing books on devotional service. Similarly, Narottama Das Thakur and other great acharyas like Madhvacharya, Ramacharya and others accepted many thousands of disciples to induce them to render devotional service. However, there is a class of Sahajiyas who think that these activities are opposed to the principles of devotional service. Indeed, they consider such activities simply another phase of materialism. Thus, opposing principles of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they commit offenses at his lotus feet. They should better consider his instructions and instead of seeking to be considered humble and meek, should refrain from criticizing the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who engage in preaching. To protect his preachers, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given much clear advice in these verses of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Even when Prabhupada went to America to preach, some disciples of Bhaktivinoda criticized, saying that, hey, he is making disciples all over the world and expanding movement. He is not taking care of his own deliverance. So Prabhupada said, Vaishnava means not only he is doing Janma Sataka Kori, but also Kara Paropaka also. That's the point he is saying here. So that's all. After that, while on his tour, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would spend night at the temple by the road. Whenever he accepted food from a person, he would give him the same advice he gave the Brahmana named Kurma. He adopted this process until he returned Jagannath Puri from South India tour. Atayeva iha kahila kariya vistara ye mata jani be prabhura sarvatra vyavahara. This is the style of Mahaprabhu's preaching. Wherever he went, he read Kirtan, he told the people to chant. Like he's saying here, I have described Mahaprabhu's behavior elaborately in the case of Kurma. In this way, you will know Chaitanya Mahaprabhu dealing throughout South India was exactly similar. So we could complete the Kurma Brahmans section, and Vasudev Leper I will do another time. Here the main teaching is Jare Deko Tarak Kaho, Krishna Upadesh. Amara Agnya Guru Haya, Tare Desh. Don't artificially say that, oh no, I don't want to be Guru of anybody. You can be a Shiksha Guru or a Vartma Parashar Guru of others by faithfully following Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's the main teaching here. And also by keeping your home spiritually vibrant. All the metallistic vibrations will be finished. Then your home will become like Vrindavan. That's another teaching. The more the spiritual ambience increases. What is spiritual ambience? Everybody is humble. Everybody is tolerant. Everybody appreciates one another. Everybody is helpful to others. They keep Krishna in the center. And they are not chasing after sense gratification. They accept the material energy only to be engaged in Lord service. That is spiritual ambience. So I specifically took this section for two reasons. One is Gaur Purnima has just ended. Something in relation to Lord Chaitanya I want to speak today. And another reason, I thought these lessons are very relevant to Grihasta devotees who sometimes think, I want to go to Vrindavan or Mayapur. You can stay here in Hyderabad and preach as Mahaprabhu is saying. And also you don't have to leave home. You stay at home and continue practicing, chanting, studying the books. Therefore we sang that song. Rupa Raghunatha Pade Hoive Akuti. Akuti means the books left behind by our Acharya should be studied and internalized and then preached to others also. So very, very simple and easy to follow instructions. And this section is a beautiful section from Chaitanya Charitamrita which we read now today. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki, Shri Prabhupada ki, Kurma Brahman ki, Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna devotees. Prabhuji, we are very grateful to you for such a wonderful class. So we would like to show our gratefulness by loudly chanting once Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.